Hi, I'm Karen, and I want to welcome you to yet another Sci-Fi Booktube channel. Yes, do we really need another one? I don't know. I guess we'll figure it out as I go along. But I've been watching a lot of Booktube over the last year, watching specifically a lot of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror Booktube, and it's really appealed to me. And I've thought maybe that's something I'd like to do. So you can be the judge of whether channel is successful or not. But I'm going to go ahead and kind of introduce you to some of the things I'm interested in, and then in future episodes, I'll be doing book reviews. I'll be maybe doing some comparisons between books and film. Interested in looking at different authors and talking about that, hopefully bringing on maybe some guests and also discussing these things with them. So without any further ado, I thought I'd just go through my TBR pile right now for just my science fiction books. I'm not going to bother you with my nonfiction. I read a lot of nonfiction as well, but it's really not relevant to the science fiction that I have here. So to start out, first in my pile is, and it still has the half price books tag on it, is this book here, which is Isaac Asimov's Magical Worlds of Fantasy. And this volume is Wizards. I poked around a little bit. It seems like there were two volumes, one being Wizards and one being Witches, maybe. And this is from Signet in 1983. There were 10 short stories in this, all focused on magicians or wizards. And it was edited by Asimov, Martin Greenberg, and Charles G. Waugh. And some of the authors included in this were Jack Vance, Ron Gillard, Larry Niven, L. Sprague de Camp, Greg Bear, Ursula K. Le Guin, John Jakes, Manly Wade Wellman. Always thought that was an interesting name. Theodore Cogswell. And then this was the one that really caught my attention, Robert E. Howard. So I'm interested in reading the Robert E. Howard story. And so they go from the 1930s to the 1970s. So I thought that's an interesting collection. And I don't get a lot of short story collections or anthologies, but that one caught my eye. The next one up, from one of my favorite author I read as a kid, is Roger Zelazny. My Name is Legion. This is from Ballantine in 1976. And this is a collection of 3 short stories by Zelazny, all featuring the same character. One of these stories, Home is the Hangman, won the 1976 Hugo Award for Best Novella. So I'm interested in going and reading that. And I'm kind of surprised I haven't read it already, because I've read a lot of Zelazny. The first Zelazny I ever read was Jack of Shadows. And then I moved on to the Amber stories and Lord of Light. So I've read a lot of his stuff, but that's one that escaped me. Next one is kind of an oddball here. It is, I'll get it on camera here, Philip Jose Farmer. And this is a Signet double science fiction. We've got Flesh and we've got Lord Tigers. So it's 2 stories in one. And this book, if you know anything about, this is from 1981, but the stories are from 68 and 70. And if you know anything about Philip Jose Farmer, you know that he's, I don't know, somewhat obsessed with Doc Savage and Tarzan. And so this second story in here, Lord Tiger, is another take by him on Tarzan. And I got interested in Philip Jose Farmer in my late teens. I realized a lot of his stuff is sort of an acquired taste, but he has written a lot of stuff on the pulp heroes. I think they call it the Wold Newton universe. So I'm interested in seeing what this is like. I know if you've ever read A Feast Unknown, you'll know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it seems to go a little far. So that's about all I'm going to say about that. Next up, I managed to snag this copy of H.G. Wells. It's both The Time Machine and The Invisible Man in one Signet Classics edition. All I've read by Wells is War of the Worlds. So I recognize that I have kind of a discrepancy there, that I need to go back and I need to get these classics in my, I don't know, portfolio, my repertoire, whatever. I need to go back and I need to read those, because I know that they're great stories and I need to have those read. Another one I picked up just recently, a few weeks back, is this book by George R.R. Martin, Night Flyers and Other Stories. And so I picked this up just for Night Flyers. I've heard a lot about that story, combining horror and science fiction. So I'm interested in that. I believe there are 5 other stories also in this book. So we'll see, how the others kind of measure up. This next one is also a book I'm really interested in, and it might wind up being the next book I read, or certainly in the next 1 or 2. And this is, I think, got a half price sticker there again. I got to get that off. The Female Man by Joanna Russ. And this is in that SF Masterworks series, which I'm seeing a lot more of those popping up around here. I'm kind of trying to nab those when they pop up. So Joanna Russ, this is probably the best known of her books. I've been wanting to read this for a long time, but it just never seems to be in any of the stores that I frequent. And I think what really pushed me over into looking for it might have been Booktuber. I think his name is Matt. I think he talked about it a few times on his show. So kudos to him. So now I've got it. Really excited to be able to read it. And that one is definitely high up on the list for next read. Now, this one is just kind of funny. I saw this and I thought it was unusual, and decided to buy it. This is The Magic Goes Away by Larry Niven. And it's funny because I remember hearing about this as a kid, maybe in Starlog, I don't know. What's interesting about it is, besides the really beautiful Boris Vallejo cover, there's a bunch of illustrations inside by Esteban Maroto. If you read comics back in the day, you would be familiar with that man and his artwork. And it's all throughout the book. There's these illustrations. So it's pretty neat. I don't know that it's something I'll jump on immediately, but I just thought it was pretty cool because of the nature of the book. Now, here's another contender for next read. I have here Ursula K. Le Guin, The Lathe of Heaven. And so this is one of these books that shows up my deficits in my reading. I have not read a lot of Le Guin. When I was younger, I did read the Earthsea books, but I haven't read much. Well, I in a moment I'll tell you what else I've read, but I haven't read a lot of Le Guin, and so was happy to come upon this just recently. A local bookstore called Changing Hands had a January 1st book sale, and they had this Lathe of Heaven there, and I grabbed it as soon as I saw it. And so be excited to read that. I know something of the story because I also saw the PBS production years ago. So I'm excited to be able to get that. And then finally, the last thing in the to be read final pile, and this was also something I picked up at that Changing Hands book sale. This is The Drowned World by J.G. Ballard. And I think this is another book that I heard about through Booktuber, such a great resource. Although I believe he was talking more about I want to say the disaster area. I think that's what I have on my list when I go out book hunting. I was looking for the disaster area. And the disaster area is a collection of dystopian short stories, whereas this is just one novel, which is also dystopian. So it's right up there what I was looking at. I haven't read Ballard before, so I'm excited to jump in and discover Ballard as a writer. Now, some stuff I've just read recently and I want to talk about on the channel. Speaking of Le Guin, The Left Hand of Darkness. Yeah, it's a classic. I can't believe I hadn't read it till now. This is the kind of book that you read and you keep thinking about, for days or months, however long after you read it. And that's what I've done. And I have to say, I think that the themes in the book are probably even more relevant today than when she wrote it in, I believe, 69. So this is one that I hope to talk about on the show, either by myself or with somebody else to discuss it. Another series a series I really enjoyed has been Martha Wells' Murderbot series. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy the character of Murderbot, and I think she's been able to do some really fun kind of action stories, but also give us something to think about as far as what it means to have consciousness, what a conscious life form other than a human would be like. And so it's been a lot of fun. I've enjoyed that. So this last one, I almost hesitate to bring up because I feel like it's very contentious whenever I see people talk about it. I got this double Tor book of Gene Wolfe's Book of the New Sun. Basically, it's got the Shadow of the Torturer and Claw of the Conciliator. And I will say I only read Shadow of the Torturer. I think there's no denying that Wolfe is a great writer, and his prose is really fantastic. He creates interesting worlds, but I just had this feeling by the time I finished the book, it really felt incomplete to me. I just felt like, wait, where did we go? What happened? I felt like the story was not complete. And I've mentioned this to a few people and they always tell me, oh, well, you got to read the next book and you got to keep, but I kind of feel like that's a flaw. Like, why should I have to read the next book to really get what's going on? I don't know. To me, you should be able to give me a full story in that first book and make me want to read the next book. I shouldn't, have to read the next book to get what's going on. But I probably will go on and read the next book. But I'd love to hear comments. If there's any people actually watching this video, I would love to get some comments on the Gene Wolfe books and see what you think about them. Because it's an interesting series, but maybe I need a push to kind of go on to the next book. I don't know. So that's that. Wrapping up this first video, and then hopefully we'll have some more coming at you very soon. If you made it all the way here, thanks. And hope to catch up with you in another week or so. Thanks a lot.